Now back over here at my makeshift workbench. Here is our snap ring. I actually grinded down a pair of $4 Harbor Freight pliers to get in there to really get those. So basically what you do is you just pinch it and push it into the gap there, and this is what retains this whole bearing assembly. Boom. Pretty freaking simple. Just slips right in there. And you see, you can take your pliers, actually push against it to make sure it's fully seated. It is. So now, our Timken bearing is installed. Alrighty, gonna let that sit here and dry and do a couple things, and I'll come back and I'll press the bearing in. Not the bearing, the hub, spindle. We're just gonna push it until it bottoms out. Okay, stop moving there. Give it extra half. Well, this bottom out, and we're gonna light it up. And now we have a installed spindle. And stick it in the sandblasting cabinet to get rid of all this junk and clean out the surfaces of any possible debris, and just clean it up in general. And boom, comes out looking like a whole brand spanking new part. Doing this one-handed, so I had to put the camera down for a second. But basically, you see I've got it all kind of lined up. I just barely started applying a little bit of pressure so you guys can see. But basically, now all we have to do is crank the handle up and down. And if you look, it's gonna push the bearing right into the knuckle. So normally, you would just bolt your toe link through here, but in my case, my IRS has the full tilt boogie toe, adjustable toe setup. So it has these toe links. Well, I broke the old one by accident, being an idiot, so we're gonna put this new one in. Basically, it's just 1/2 by 20 thread. Because this is conical shaped, just like this. It slides right through there. You take your nut and your washer, right? Put our washer on. And now this washer is a touch bigger. I don't think it's gonna make any meaningful difference. We put our nylock on, and then we'll just grab a pair of pliers to hold it over here to get it started and run this down. What is up, everybody? Today we are back working on the IRS for the competition Drift Mustang. The last video you saw was me getting the front suspension on it, and we need to go ahead and get this thing finished up so I can slap it back in and have that car be a roller and get it ready for a cage. The last video you saw me work on this, we actually had just finished tearing apart the knuckles that came off of it, which I have over here that I've actually finished rebuilding. And here's one of said knuckles, fully rebuilt, gave it a fresh coat of paint, new hub, new wheel bearing, ready to go. I actually did record fixing all of those, and now that these are done, we can go ahead and get started on this bad boy. And as you can see, this thing has seen better days. These bushings are rotted out here and here. They're like dry and cracking and rusty. It's all got a nice coat of dirt. The person who had this before me lived on like a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, so as you can see, these joints over here corroded and need to be cleaned up and freed up. I'm not planning on doing anything with the sway bar, the end links, keeping them and these, but I do want to clean it up, give it all a fresher paint, and put all the new parts I got on it. Because part of the deal that I got with this, oh, you can see right here especially, where the rubber's just flaking. Strip that off. But you can see, as part of the deal is, he actually threw in another couple, like $500 worth of Maximum Motorsports lower control arm Delrin bushings. You can see these are full-on Delrin plastic. Came with a bunch of hardware and shims, cooler. So that was part of the deal that made this such a good steal, trading my rear axle for, along with these Fill-Tilt Boogie tow arms that are also expensive in their own right. And then, of course, if I'm going to replace the lower control arm bushings, I should probably replace the rest of the rotted bushings. These Cobra IRSs are known to be expensive, especially when it comes to this. So I'm super happy to say I got to finally start talking to the guy that owns Drift American. Really chill dude, and he hooked it up. He got me connected through Fill-Tilt Boogie Racing to get every single part that I needed to rebuild this. As you can see, it's all right here. I've got upper subframe bushings, lower subframe bushings, eccentric bolts that are extended for camber, not caster. And basically what they do is they let me come even farther out compared to these stock ones, so I can get more positive camber to stop negative camber under compression wearing the tire. Delrin differential support, upper control arm bushings, even grease zerk fittings to put into the arms, and most importantly, the updated Full Tilt Boogie Racing support brace. If you don't know what this is, on 99 and 01 and 02 Cobras, the IRS has this support bar here. Notice, it does not come up in support the pinion nose mounting points. That is where this boy is different. It mounts up in the same place, but actually goes to said mounting points with these tabs right here and help support and stop the pinion from doing basically that. You don't want the pinion going a bunch of nose up under compression or under tension or torque. You just shocks the driveline. It's not good. It's not great for the drive chassis joints either. Ford, of course, put that on 03-04 Cobras. They made a brace with those mounting points. That is extremely expensive. It's like $400 or $500. This is like $168 if I remember correctly. I'll put a correction up here if it isn't. It's a different price. So go ahead and check Drift American out. Really nice guys over there. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form. I did pay out of pocket for this, but they hooked it up and, helped me get it ordered and all that fun jazz. Great fucking company. I couldn't ask for an easier experience with the owner. Really, any Mustang drift parts, whether you like Scotty D, Duncan, which is my preferred angle kit brand, hydros, full tilt boogie racing. Hell, they even have cage kits. I just ordered mine through them. So, I got the bushings out of the first arm. That was way more effort than it should have been. These Maximum Motorsport tools to get these out are interesting. They work. There's 2 different sizes, and they kind of say it in the instructions, but as always, just like every other suspension parts company I've dealt with, the instructions are terrible. They're just writing, there's no pictures. It's great. Well, there are a couple pictures, but like of stuff that really you don't need a picture of. It's great, you know, typical small company things. It's nothing against Maximum Motorsport. I've dealt with their parts before and dealt with it. But yeah, there's some gouging on the inside I'm going to have to clean up from the little wheel. You're apparently not supposed to use an impact, but I wasn't sitting there for 6 years with a breaker bar killing myself when I have an impact. So there's that. But I guess I'll show you how I get the other 2 out of that arm out, because this was a major pain in the fucking ass. Side of the bearing. So what I like to do, put the cup on, put the bolt through the cup, put the cup through the bushing, put our smaller disc on right here, take our nut, which this nut is not very happy with its life, and I can't blame it. Slide it on, start putting it on. I want to grab, now you're supposed to take an impact, you're supposed to take a breaker bar in this. I don't feel like doing that. The aluminum is apparently malleable, but I'm at the point where like I'm not wasting my time. I take a big circle and wrench on the bottom, and I tighten it down. I think my bolt just gave way. That's a lot better. Get a nice little flame go out of there. Heat. The more heat, the better. Next step, we have the arm mounted this way so I can work on the eccentric bolt. So, I have the stock eccentric bolt here, which you can see rotates perfectly in the slot. It pushes on the walls, so you really can make sure it pushes over. It doesn't just spin in the hole. But this stock eccentric bolt only has so much adjustment. I now have the new full tilt boogie eccentric, well new, but like they didn't just come out with the new as in new to me, eccentric bolts. These are pressed in, but you can see it's actually a little loose. There's a little bit of play in it. These are welded on, and these have a little bit more adjustment. So these allow to get more or less camber. The only problem is, unlike this one, which you can stick in and do a full 360 with against the walls, this one, not so much. It gets stuck. It's a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to take my grinder here, we're just gonna ever so slightly trim these walls back till I can do a full 360, but still have it touch the walls. Now you gotta be careful not to go too much this way, not to go too much this way, otherwise it becomes kind of useless, because even if it spins, it doesn't push against anything, so you can have play in the adjustment and have it get knocked out fairly easily. If you do go too far, the simple fix is to lay a weld bead down and then regrind it till you get it right. And I'm just gonna go slowly till I get it in there correctly. So. Close. Caught it there. Damn it. I want a little too much over here. I'm gonna throw a bead in there and redo it real quick. And it's pretty simple to fix that. Like I said, you can just drop a wheat. Oh. Boom. And just like that, it does a full 360, but still touches both walls. There's a slight amount of play on this side, where I just went ever so touch, but not enough for me to really be concerned. And then this side, it's practically perfect. The reason you saw me do the bead was mainly because I cut a little too deep there with the wire wheel. It's not an exact science, but I think it's good enough to where it's not going to be a problem. There really isn't a whole lot of support done by that part anyways. So, I believe we are good to go in that aspect. Now, I do have to do it on the other side. Because, now that you see I got it flipped, basically, there's a bolt that sits on the back of this. And when fully extended, it can kind of be in the way sometimes. Now, personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Full Tilt Boogie recommends that you do clearance it a little bit, so I'm just going to take it back a little bit. I don't know if there's like something different between the 99 arms, the 01 arms, 02 arms, and 03 and 04 arms. But basically, they claim that if you don't do a little bit of notching here, you'll have problems. I don't see how. The bolt's not that wide. It doesn't really even come close over here, but I'll just take it back a little bit just to be safe. I didn't take it back much, but I feel like I took back enough. With it fully maxed out that way and that way, it doesn't seem to be an issue, so I'm just not going to even sweat it. So, all set there. On to the grease fittings.